first up, I want to introduce my players. We have Tazarath being played by.
Cerulean as
Excellent. And you're playing as?
oh right. Tazarath is an evil tiefling paladin.
Excellent. Next up, we have twin characters, Snake and the Fixer Upper, played by.
Ryanaga Snake is a Yanti sorcerer who is of the Draconic persuasion, and Fixer Upper is a half orc war priest.
Excellent. Next, we have Tristan, played by.
Will, and Tristan is a kobold sorcerer.
All right.
Wait,
Wait,
wizard.
wizard.
He's a wizard.
Yeah, he's a wizard. And
Class change.
last but not least, we have Melrath being played by.
Starmy827, and Malrath is a dwarven eldritch knight.
Excellent. All right. So, let's recount what happened last time. As I remember the scenario, the party had adventured and gone through several different cavern tunnels, and having gone through a series of them, ended up in a room where there was a lot of fungi that was around. There was a small stream that was going by, and there was also a section of the cavern wall that had been knocked out. And that cavern wall that had been knocked out led into an area with an eerie green glow, and there was an altar beyond there with some sort of sarcophagus atop it, and you had gone into that room and did your best to sort of identify what it was that you had found, and determined that it was an altar to starts with an M. Merkel. Merkel. Not the German Chancellor. And it turned out that due to the party's religion check, the very quick background on it is that Merkel was a particularly evil god of death, as those things go, and had sworn revenge upon all of Faerun, and vowed to return someday and carry that out despite having been killed. So, um, ages ago, Faerun had purged every single altar to Merkel they could find, on the premise that if they can end all of those altars, it will make it much harder for him to make his way back to Faerun without an appropriate, or without a what's the word I'm looking for, divine connection to an altar there. Um, and so, having heard that, the party decided that the historical approach was absolutely the correct one to take in that particular circumstance. So, in order to destroy the altar, they had to move the sarcophagus, and they set it aside. Nothing happened when they moved it. They busted up the altar real good. It was thoroughly desecrated. And then on the way out, Tazarath said something to the effect of, "I'm feeling greedy. We should open this sarcophagus." And other people said, "That's almost certainly a trap." I agree. And so you guys opened it up and found within that there was a mummy, and it sprung forth and attacked the party. Fortunately, you guys were far stronger than that pitiful mummy, and you managed to end it pretty effectively. I think the last person hit it with a firebolt, and it was consumed in flames, and then the armor and skeleton crashed to the ground. But inside, you found a ring of free movement, which is not quite as good as the spell, but it is persistent. So it has its own pluses. And I think there might also have been. Were there black pearls inside? Was that?
Yes.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
two. There were supposed to actually be two giant, very perfect black pearls. I only see one in here. I must have fucked that up. Let me change that number. I can't change it from here. That's fine. Snake, if you wouldn't mind, could you change the number to 2?
Mm-hmm.
Marvelous. So, anyways, uh, so we covered all that stuff, and then on the way out, the party came across um, a human woman in her late 30s. She was very pretty. She was gathering up shrooms and had described living a very solitary life up on the surface, and then some cruel adventurer had attacked her and banished her, and she randomly landed in the Underdark in a location not far from there. And I forget what it was that you guys had bargained with her for. I think it was just information.
Oh, and she said, or not just information. She was gonna.
You identified the ring for us.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she also offered to, if she has healing spells or something.
She had healing spells. Part of the original deal, I think, had been the case that you guys were pretty much convinced that the Ring of Free Action was going to be cursed because you had found it in the
Hmm.
mummy sarcophagus, and that's a reasonable, leap to take. So the deal was she would identify it. If it was cursed, she would remove the curse, but only once you showed her where the myconids were, because she was unaware that they were anywhere near her um, cabin. I forget exactly what domicile I said she had, but whatever it is,
I don't know.
um,
She built some.
yes, she did. So, anyways, so as a result, um, the party had agreed. She identified the ring. You found that it wasn't cursed at all, but you had agreed to take her there anyway. So you'd basically decided to make good on your promise. So,
Yeah.
anyways, at this point, you guys had marched off in the direction of the Neverlight Grove. So, heading off in that direction, um, there are some moments where she taps on the shoulder of, I believe it's Tazarath, who's leading the party, and pre-warns him about monsters up ahead. And every
Hmm.
single time she warns you and sort of redirects you, you find that her advice is absolutely sound, um, and she leads you in a direction that always takes you sort of away from them. Now, Stool has to go ahead and step in to make sure that you guys ultimately stay on paths that will lead you to the grove. But between the two of them, you manage to make it past a set of cloakers, um, a pair of mated umber hulk, and a particularly large burrowing worm of some description, which you weren't entirely certain exactly what it was because you only really saw like the segment of its body that was moving through the tunnel that you passed. Um, and actually, having seen some of the size of these creatures, you can't help but wonder if some of these tunnels were actually formed as a result of worm activity. But regardless, you eventually find your way to a area, and I have an image for you guys. So give me a second. I want to pull that up. I think it's this one. Nope, that's not the one. Is it? Huh. This one? Ah, here it is. Uh, Actually, I think I have to share that a little bit later. Anyways, you come into a cavern. It is there's tons of fungi all around. There's water that is streaming down a wall to your right. So um, it's a little difficult to describe this, but um, imagine a um, a wall to your right that comes down from the ceiling, perpendicular to the floor, and then curves gently to the right, and then meets up with the floor in that way. Does that make sense? Where you have this large, long curve that slopes pretty gently towards the cave floor that you're standing on, and that's to your right. Now, way up ahead, up atop all of that, there's some source of water that is causing water to stream down the face of that particular cave wall, and it leads to a much more humid area than you have found in much of the rest of the Underdark. And wherever you find humidity, you find tons of fungus. So this particular cavern is a large explosion of life. Most of it happens to be off along the left-hand side of the cavern, which stretches off a good 45 feet or so. And as it stretches off, there are little footpaths through this area. You can see, thanks to the dim light shed by all the rest of the fungi, way, way down, like about 3 football fields from here, at the other end of this cavern. There are about 5 different tunnels that connect up with that end and lead off in a variety of different directions. Some of the tunnels are actually stacked one on top of another, so you would have to sort of climb up the wall, to make it up there. Um, but regardless, this area is just, absolutely full to bursting. You can see that there are also a variety of mammals and insects that are also feeding off this particular ecosystem. None of them seem to be much bigger than a terrier. So, as far as you know, none of them are dangerous, but none of them are really paying attention to you either. They're nesting in the fungi, pouncing upon one another, things of that nature. Now, once you enter this cavern, um, at this point, Sprout gets very excitable, um, and 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 he starts bouncing up and down. He's like, "We're close, we're close, we're close. It's just up ahead."
Bounce, bounce, bounce.
Okay, with that, I proceed the party to follow Sprout, who scutters amongst the fungi. And if it weren't for the fact that he was moving, he would be almost indistinguishable from much of the rest of the uh, um, non-animal life present. And so you guys follow him for a good long distance. Um, you end up having to step on or over a number of different caps and shrooms and protrusions. And finally, you get to a point where up near the top of the cavern ceiling, there is some zirkwood, which is the equivalent of wood in the Underdark, thus the name, um, that stretches out into large shelves. And there's about 4 of these caps, and they kind of layer over one another, and they actually create an area where the water tends to not fall underneath those caps, but rather to the side of them. So there's like this veil part in the waterfall that is the rightmost wall. And once you get close to that area, Sprout just keeps running and he keeps running, and then he gives a little hop, and then he vanishes as soon as he makes contact with the wall.
Wow. Um, well, I
Let's
guess.
peer in there and see what's in there.
Well, it's a solid wall.
Well, he hopped through it, though.
Yes, he did.
I reached into the solid wall.
Ah, it's not so solid after all. Your intuition is correct. However, with a lot of illusions, oftentimes when something about an illusion reveals that it is not a true thing, something that doesn't actually exist, you tend to be able to see through it. It becomes, transparent,
Hmm.
semi-transparent. And in this particular case, it's a pretty damned good illusion because he was able to jump right through it, and you were still convinced it was a solid wall until you touched it or couldn't touch it.
Hmm.
Nice.
So you're gonna poke your head in? Just your head?
Shh. uh,
You can't mage hand this one, Chris.
I will be sacrificial paladin.
All right. So Chris bravely or stupidly, depending on your perspective, sticks his whole head into the wall. Um, you actually have a moment where, as you stick your head through the wall, you panic because one of your horns catches on the actual cave wall as you pass through, and for a moment you thought it was like an illusion, and then like the wall was just back a few inches further, and you yelp. Um, but when you open your eyes, here's what you see. Can I actually share this with a single person? Preload image. Okay. No, I can't. It's fine. Yeah, we're gonna get to it all in a minute. So this is what you end up seeing beyond. Now, as you sort of look around, what isn't pictured in this image is that the illusory wall that you stuck your head through. On the inside, there is something a little bit larger than a large door. So, like, if a standard door is about 7 feet up, this is maybe 9. Um, the door arch is surrounded by a orange fungi. It perfectly outlines exactly where um, the actual entryway is, and it glows brilliantly, very brightly, which is unusual for other fungi and not a fungus that you've seen before. Um, but it seems to be in some way contributing to the illusion because it frames it so perfectly.
Interesting.
Now,
But I'm gonna roll Arcana on that.
okay,
It's
before you do, the only thing that I want to say is if you see the sort of blue light towards the back of that cavern, Sprout is currently skittering off in that particular direction at a pretty decent speed. I mean, he's only a toddler, but if you've ever had to chase a toddler, you know they can be pretty fast.
mm,
Anyways, roll your Arcana check if you care to.
Ar-
So yeah, like fungi-based magic is not your wheelhouse.
I didn't think it would be, but you never know.
So meanwhile, for the rest of the party, Tazaroth's head has been stuck through the illusory wall. He's yelped, and then he hasn't said anything for a while, and he hasn't pulled his head out. Does anyone have a particular reaction to that scenario?
Um,
How can we prank Tazarath?
well, yeah, that's the first one.
Oh,
I guess my reaction would be to push him all the way through.
excuse me.
Oof.
Okay, so Tazaroth is pushed all the way through. He
Well, I
tum-
thought maybe he was stuck in a different dimension or something.
You want to push me all the way through to the new dimension?
Yeah.
Yeah, he tumbles through the other side, makes quite a bit of a racket about it, um, and but he's complaining, so therefore he must be alive.
Okay.
Try not to be
That
too
tells us
disappointed.
something.
So everybody else, you're just gonna hop through the wall now, since it's
Yeah.
presumably safe.
Yeah. We Serlin checked it, so it's good.
Okay. So everybody else, one by one, sort of hops through the wall, comes out the other side. When you get there, you too see the same sights Serling does. The brilliant orange funky, and nobody else sees Sprout, of course, because Sprout has long since
He ran off that way.
yeah, he's tottered off at a pretty terrific pace. Um, yeah. So what do you guys do from here? You gonna follow him? Stick around?
I don't want to lose contact with him, so yeah, my characters will anyway.
Okay. Give me
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
second.
Let's catch up with our wayward toddler.
Where did we go? There's a map I'm looking for. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. No, 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 no. Jeebus H. Christ. Wait. Are you fucking serious? Where's the goddamn map?
Oh, save me, Jeebus!
That is so irritating.
I
Images
agree.
and maps. Images and maps. Oh, there it is. Whoa. Perfect. Okay, so then I just have to mask this. This is gonna be another giant fucking map, so like prepare yourselves. And then I just have to. How do I want to do this? here. Yeah, like that. That seems about appropriate. And then let me make sure that I get the direction. Okay. Is there any key to this that needs to be revealed? Like that. And then like that. And okay. Sharing the map. Okay, so if you would all be so kind as to place yourselves somewhere in the vicinity of here, hereabouts. Above, or sorry, in front of or behind it is fine. I just want to have that um, be the general area that you show up in.
So, Alex, I kind of have been keeping quiet on this. Have the characters gone back to the city in the last 2 sessions?
Have the characters gone back to which city?
The city which Tristan ended up in at the end of the last 2 sessions because of transportation obelisk.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, let me very quickly catch you up. So what ended up happening was after you guys ended up in teleporting through, the party decided that they didn't want to explore the rest of the Whirlstone Caverns. They'd had enough. They were going to take the evidence that they had, try to go turn it in. So everybody else activated the obelisk so they'd show up in the same place that the two of you did. You went inside, turned in the evidence. The person who took the evidence thanked you for your work and then offered to send you on a caravan out of there very quickly. And while I'm talking, everybody should have their characters on the map. Please take your character and put them on the map. Um, and so the
Trying to
caravan.
figure out how.
Oh, you do it from the combat tracker. You grab your character's icon and then you just drop it on a square.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm trying to do that right now.
Okay, well then I'm just going to help this along. Bloop and bloop. I want to get rid of this pointer actually. Remove that. And then, so anyways, there's Tazarath. Nope, that's not Tazarath. That's Tazarath. Bloop. There's Melrath. Bloop. Okay. So anyways, so the what's her face? I can't remember her name. Erday, I think it was. Erday had told you guys that if you stayed in the city, you would almost be certainly be used for political as political pawns, and as such, she thought it was in her best interest if you weren't around for that to happen. So now that you've delivered the information to her and nobody can question you, she sent you off into a caravan. The caravan took you far north of the city in the direction of the Neverlight Grove, and once you made it up to that location, you came across a friendly mind flayer named Grazilax, who claims to be part of something called the Society of Brilliance, a society of Underdark monsters of incredible intelligence that are set to solve the Underdark's problems. He also made you aware that apparently the leader of Gracklstug has declared war and mobilized troops to quell the threat of kobold geologists. And so that was weird. And he's going back to investigate why that is so, because that's just weird. And then after that, you came across the temple, and now you're all caught up to or altar, I should say. And now you're all caught up to where you should be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So at present, the party makes it out into this area, and I forget the name of the woman that you guys encountered. What was her name?
Maeve.
Maeve. Thank you. Once you make it to this point, Maeve is looking around her in absolute wonder at all the fungi, the size of the cavern, all this different stuff. And then she suddenly starts to kind of shrink back in a very noticeable way, and she looks a bit afraid.
Why precisely do you look so afraid? Mushroomery.
I can sense ambush predators. Yes, they're nearby. I think they're to the northeast. Um, Listen, I am more than happy to consider our debt paid. Um, I think we should part ways.
Insight. Terrible insight.
She very sincerely wants to part ways.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, so in future, if you want to roll insight, how I'd like to handle it going forward is if one player wants to roll insight, they announce that. Every person in the party then says yes or no. And then once I've got all the yeses, all of those people will roll the dice so that we don't have a situation where Chris fails, Brett decides to roll just so that we
Well, I
can.
would have, if we're going to do insight, obviously this character will do it because of the huge bonus. So,
Yes, yes, that's perfectly fair. But just going forward, to make sure that we're not rolling to succeed, um, well, that's how I'd like to handle it. So, regardless, right. So you roll the dice. She's definitely worried about something present here, and the difficulty is that since you don't know enough about her power as it was to sort of discern the direction of danger, as it were, it's a little difficult to tell if she's actually afraid because the ambush predators could be anywhere, or if they're a lot closer than she's implied, or something else is in the vicinity that she hasn't mentioned that gives her pause.
hmm. And the toddler is heading to the northeast.
Um, Actually, at this point, Stool has kind of stopped and he's put his feet in the water and he's kind of kicking them. But every once in a while, he stills them, and you can see little ripples in the water that indicate that perhaps he's drinking through his feet.
Okay.
Well, it's good to know he's okay at least.
Yes, yes, he's fine for the moment. Anyways, at this point, Maven is actively heading back the other direction, the way that she came. Is anyone trying to stop her?
Should we?
Um, I'm
I
confused.
mean, I could intimidate her into.
I did not foresee this. Invested a lot into her character in the last session, so now I'm getting annoyed. Um, well, yeah, try to intimidate her with the rationale that she's a healer. We need her around in case there is trouble.
Okay, so same deal. Anyone who wants to roll intimidate, let me know right now before you roll it.
I will roll
What's your bonus?
+6.
All right, and
Actually,
Fixer-
fuck it. Don't even worry about it. I still
Oh.
have portent from the previous game. You roll a 20. Oh wait, you already rolled a 20. Never mind. I'm keeping that portent.
Oh no,
Oh wait, no, that was insight.
it is.
So,
Yeah.
so yes, I'm using the portent from like 2 games ago. You enjoy your 20 on this intimidation. Let's keep our.
So Chris, as you intimidate her, um, what exactly? Like, I got the vague sense that your plan is to say what?
Yeah, would persuasion be better here than intimidation, Chris?
Well, it
Yeah,
depends on
that's a
yes
good
and no.
question.
Yes and no. Since we know that you're going to get a 20 on no matter what you roll,
Mhm.
so when here's a couple different. Sorry, I got to pull up the skill list so that I can look at them myself. Deception is anytime you're lying to a person. That's where deception comes in. Anytime, actually, let me pull up. You are, if you're going to attempt to influence someone through overt threats, hostile actions, and physical violence, that is what constitutes an intimidation check. So know that doing that it's more like if you don't get your ass back here right now, I will crack your skull open. That's intimidation roll.
And persuasion?
And persuasion is when you attempt to influence someone through tact and social graces or good nature. It's an inherently a more cooperative sort of a thing. It won't make people fear you or become hostile to you like intimidation would. Like if you try to intimidate the city guard and it doesn't work, they're going to be real pissed because you just threatened to crack their skull open.
Yeah, honestly, persuasion would probably be better, but
Yeah, I'm a little worried about her innate abilities, so I don't really want to intimidate her. I think you should persuade.
Okay. But what is the gist of your persuasion? What is the argument you're using to persuade her?
we don't know what's here, and neither do you. And if there's ambush predators in that direction, there may be some behind us too. So you're safer staying with us.
Well, that's the thing, though. I know exactly where they are. They're off in to an extent, they're off to the northeast, and if they sense that we're here, they're going to head in this direction, and you're not going to see them coming. And I know back there is safe. There's nothing back there but rats, regular rats too.
Can we have Stool interject, or can we communicate with him at all to say like which direction he was planning on going
Oh,
now that he's stopped?
well, yeah. Stool indicates that he was probably going to have you guys go around the I don't know what to call that. I know you can't see the whole thing, but like the southern side of the lake, for lack of a better term. And part of the reason that I've only revealed as much as I have is because this area, for the most part, is like a fungi forest. You can't see too terribly far. You can see somewhat over the lake, but like this whole area is just dim light. So
So south rather than north is the key takeaway.
yes.
Okay, so we're not going that way.
I think Tristan is going to interject of you'll never find a better time to meet the mushroom people, and we can protect you.
She pauses for a moment, considers that, and then she sort of stops in her tracks and then she sort of walks back in your general direction and um, well, all right, but someone's approaching, and sure enough, about 5 seconds later, a large myconid pops out of the fungal forest. Now, um, who here does not know what myconid are or look like?
We've had a myconid toddler traveling with us. I
I've
think
been
it's
playing
safe
too
to know
many of
that
these
we all
games
do.
over the years, and I've ingested them, so I know.
And to be specific, I do mean myconid adults, just in case that was
Yep.
unclear. Okay. So everybody knows what they look like. Fine. So a myconid adult comes out from behind one of the um, fungal forests, and I'm trying to pull up the appropriate. Give me a second. I think it's a day. Nope, I think it's the next one over. Nope, it's not. Maybe it's back this way. You know what? I'm gonna grab my book. It's right here. Do 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 do. Let's see here.
I would be remiss if I didn't throw this link in the chat. That's not it. That's not the link I needed.
Wait a minute.
What the hell?
Ah, here it is. The large myconid adult that comes out around the corner looks at you and says rather evenly, "Greetings, travelers. My name is Lubamub." And the party stared at him silently.
Could you spell that? out
Why?
of character.
What did it sound like?
Yubamub.
Yeah, no, what did it sound like when I said it that caused you to want it to be spelled?
I mean, it sounded like that. I just like having it spelled
Okay.
out.
Anyways, uh, how did you find our grove? To which Stool
Your little
pops
one
up.
here. Oh,
Yeah, Stool pops up, scoots over to him, sort of rubs up against his leg affectionately. A cloud of spores expands from both of them, and then moments later, they seem to be communicating as the as Lubomub is gesturing as one would when speaking, um, and then he sort of returns his attention back to the party. He says that you have helped him escape from slavery and gone out of your way to return him to the grove. We thank you, and I will make certain that the Myconid sovereigns are aware of your good deeds. Um, However, he has also told me that you are fairly powerful creatures in your own right, and I have a somewhat delicate matter that I would like your assistance with if I could ask it of you.
Sure, go on. I want to kill some shit. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh
I
no,
want to kill some things.
that's actually exactly where we're headed with this. Um, some creatures have found their way into the grove lately. Um, One of them is a Grick Alpha, and the other is a Shambling Mound. And between the two of them, they are destroying the ecosystem of our fungal forests, and we need those to survive. However, they're pretty nasty creatures, and we would prefer not to face them head on. But they're also ambush predators, so at the same time, while we have a general sense of where they are, we fear losing too many myconid trying to fell them. However, we think that your particular talents might be suited to the task.
You think correctly.
Now, in this particular moment, because he has made you aware of the names of the creatures that you're facing, I will also offer and allow for the party to make arcana checks, or in one case, one is an arcana check because I believe it's a monstrosity, and the other one is a nature check because it is naturific.
All right. Um,
Jeez, how does Melrath keep getting these arcana?
Well, he is actually trained in
Oh, okay.
it. He's an Eldritch Knight.
Oh, that's true.
There we go. I got him. Oh wow, so the Arcana skill got really okay. We have what we need. Shit, how am I gonna get this? Do I go like that? What did I do? Okay, I don't know.
You
I'll get it
destroyed
later.
the whole world.
I probably did. Um, I don't need that anymore. So, Grick. Grick. Okay, first of all, this is what a Grick looks like. These creatures are large monstrosities. Um, they're no more intelligent than, say, a panther. Um, and they are known for having the ability to sort of climb because they have a whole bunch of spines along their worm-like body that allow them to like just go straight up walls.
Mhm.
They are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. They are known for having the ability to blend seamlessly with the stone upon which they are clinging to. So any rocky terrain is their ideal habitat for hunting because they are so invisible. Now, when they tend to attack things, what they try to do is they'll lash out with their tentacles, and if they make a successful hit with their tentacle, they'll pull the creature closer to that beak-like mouth that they have and take a chunk out. Um, they tend to attack very quickly against the weakest target that they can see in hopes of taking it down in one blow and then retreating to hide and then stalk the people or monsters or whatever it is that it's hunting. Um,
Mhm.
and
Additional
so
prey.
additional prey. There you go. So that is the Grick. Now the other one is a shambling mound.
Nat 19, yo.
And the shambling mound looks like this. Oh, and I also had Tazarath pictured in here just to start because I figured that's the direction this was headed. So there he is on the right shoulder of the shambling mound.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah. Now, the only difference between this shambling mound and the one that's actually pictured is that, or sorry, the one that you're going to encounter. Shambling mounds normally are creatures that exist in like swamps or marshes or rainforests. They exist in places where there's a lot of organic matter, and they tend to be an animated heap of vegetation normally in a lot of those environments. But because we're in the Underdark, they're an animated heap of rotting fungus. Excuse me. So the shambling mound is a large plant. It's actually slightly more intelligent than the Grick, but that doesn't by any means make it a sentient creature. They tend to have a bonus on their stealth rolls because they will hide amongst, all of the other things that they are made up of, making them difficult to spot. They are resistant to both cold and fire. They're immune to lightning, and they can't be blinded, deafened, or exhausted. These creatures have blind sight that goes out a certain radius, but beyond that, they can't see at all or perceive at all. Um, Now, most notably, not only are they straight up immune to lightning, but in any instance where a Shambling Mound takes any lightning damage at all, it regains hit points equal to the amount of lightning damage dealt.
A lot of potential for trolling here.
Indeed. The Shambling Mound is also known for wait a minute. Oh, my mistake. I apparently played this wrong when I played against other people previously. Um, According to this, if it hits with both of its slam attacks, then it can attempt to engulf the creature. I thought it only had to hit with one slam attack, so keep me honest on that. And it will attempt to suffocate the creature because it gets trapped amongst all the rotting fungal matter and can't breathe. And so you can end up taking a lot of damage in that way. But the mound being the size that it is, which is large, it can only engulf one creature at a time. So there you go. So that's what you're up against. These two creatures. And so let me see if I can find this. This is Fungal Wilds. I don't understand. Why is that a missing thing here? Is it arriving at the grove? I'm trying to find the actual encounter for this because obviously you guys are about to fight it. Um, and I am frustrated because there should just be a giant fucking thing right here with all the creatures on it. Oh, I see. Okay, I
So
found what I
it's
needed.
rotting fungi, basically.
It is, but it is animate, not intelligent or fully intelligent, but animate.
Is there any explanation as to why lightning damage heals it? I'm just curious.
Um, Actually, I probably shouldn't have
It's
closed
not
it so
really
quickly. It seems random.
not really jiving in my brain.
Aha! Shambling Mound results from a phenomenon in which lightning or fey magic invigorates an otherwise ordinary swamp plant. As the plant is
Oh,
reborn
okay.
into its second life, it chokes the life from plants and animals around it, mulching on their corpsen? I don't know what that is. I think that's a misspelling. Oh, mulching their corpse in a heap around its roots. These roots eventually give up their reliance on the soil, directing the shambling mound to seek out new sources of food. Now, to Lubamub's point, I guess, um, the uh, the creature actually drains all the nutrients out of the soil, and then it will
Mm.
knock down a whole bunch of other fungi to sort of munch on and then plant roots again and then attempt to leach more from the soil until an entire area is, basically barren silicate soil. So there you go. Now, what he was going to say, because I finally found what I needed. So both of these creatures have taken residence up to the northeast from here, and the two of them together are staying in real close proximity to one another because whenever the shambling mound takes on a creature, the Grick tends to lash out and try to either steal some of the prey from the creature or
Okay.
munch on leftovers and scavenge. Excuse me.
So it's a hyena-lion relationship, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and the Grick is still clever enough that it can evade the shambling mound, and the shambling mound is not bright enough to not be distracted by other creatures and attack the Grick. So, anyways, I'm going to start revealing some map stuff. I'm going to stick this over here to the side for a minute so I don't fuck it up. Let's see here. Sharing. Nope. Mask mode. I think this is how I do it.
Mask.
There we go. And then I'm going to go like this. And then like that because that bothers me. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do now. That's adorable. There we go. And bloop. And bloop. Wait a minute, neither of them blooped. Bloop, damn you. What the fuck? Oh, I have to drag the dragon head. That's the problem. Okay. Alright. So now that's been taken care of. Now, did you guys see anything get placed on the map?
Yes, there's a,
Okay.
but it's not on the combat tracker.
Right. I figured out what my problem is. Delete from the dragon like that. I have a particular way that I want to go. Oh wow, there we go. Okay, yeah, no, that's what I wanted. Right there, and then this will be here, and then what I have to do is click that. That's how it's supposed to go, because I thought there was something wrong with the token. So anyways, Lubamub, I don't think I need to represent him. Close that, close that. All right,
I would imagine he would keep his.
yeah, he's keeping his distance. This is an all you guys situation. So Lubamub will walk up to about. Let me grab my drawing. Let's see here, drawing. Yes, yes. He walks us to about here, and then from here he points in that direction, and he points out like an area where all of the fungus that was standing upright is all fallen over. It's all a giant mess. Um, you can see that you can see that there is indeed a giant mound of fungal matter out there, and you know it's in there somewhere, and that's the area that I've sort of denoted with the shambling mound, because he's pointed it out enough that you guys have a sense of like where in that mound it approximately is, and yeah. Now nobody has seen the Grick. It's still hidden somewhere around here. Um, but yeah, now let me get rid of these drawings. Clear. There. So, let me also start plopping down the NPCs because I want them to be in here. Fargus! Wait, and then Sarath. Okay, we're all set. So, I'd like everyone to roll initiative, and then we'll talk about how you're going to approach the shambling mound.
Ah, almost rolled a 20.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let me just go like this. So, what is your approach? Are you guys gonna, charge up to it and take it down, or what?
So it's blind until
You reach a
we're within
certain,
its range, right?
well, a certain radius from it. You're not quite sure exactly what that radius is, but within a certain distance, it becomes aware of you.
But we don't know where exactly it is, so we can't target it specifically right now with like spells.
Well, no, but if you had a fireball, for example, and wanted to just drop it on top. Oh, wait, he's resistant to fire. But just using that as an example, if you had like, an area effect explosion type thing, you could drop it on there.
So
Now,
he's pardon me, he's resistant to fire, and lightning heals him, and then
he's also
non-magical
resistant to
weapons.
cold.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
resistant to fire and cold. He's immune to lightning and heals from it.
Mhm.
And he is not resistant to non-magical weapons. That's the Grick.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, one other thing that I'm going to actually reveal a little bit more of the map, but one of the things that I want to draw real quick is this arrow, because there's sort of a shelf that leads up to an overarching area. And so this is a second tier up. It's about a 10-foot high ledge that happens to overlook, the water, and in this case, the shambling mound at some point. And I just wanted to point out that it was here for, strategic value if you guys should happen to get around the shambling mound. So just get rid of that. And then I'm going to reveal a little bit more while you guys figure this out.
So I'm suggesting in order to get the Grick to show itself, I can use a minor illusion to put something very tasty for it to try and eat because it's smart but not that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent idea, actually.
Then it comes down. We can sort of murder it on our own, and the shambling mass we can just like take our time.
Okay, give me just a
Yeah,
second. I want to review some information about the Grick to make sure I know how the creature would respond to that. But
And I say this because we learned that it is going to go after the weakest looking in the party.
Yep.
It's either me or Spiderbait, and I'm not sure which one of us looks weaker.
spider bait. uh, hmm. Hmm. Okay. So I believe I have a sense of how um, the Grick will react to that. So I want to know what illusion you're creating, and I want you to move Fargus to the location of the illusion that you're creating.
I'm going to put the illusion right here, and it's an illusion of. I'm going to actually ask the Myconid what it's been eating. Does it eat my?
It would eat myconids. Uh, however, how do I put this? Um, it eats myconids, but it seems to prefer mammalian creatures, things with actual flesh to them. A lot of Underdark species have that, although not all of them are mammalian, such as like umber hulks. There's a variety of insects that live deep underground, and even though Gricks are monstrosities, they're actually fairly close to insects themselves in a lot of ways. So it's interested in weak creatures that are kind of meaty rather than fungus, but it's been subsisting for now.
Well, then he's going to create the meatiest, fattest, lamest looking. You know what? Screw it. I'm disliking them. What were those little blue gnome things? They're the
the
Uh,
Darrow.
ravios? Yes, I'm going to make the fattest, lamest, most succulent looking Darrow appear right
Gorgeous.
here.
Okay, so just for the parameters of your illusion, is it going to waddle around or something, or is it just an image that appears there and is static?
I only have minor illusion right now, so I do believe it is just static.
Okay. Now, before we go follow through on that, do you guys want to position yourselves in any particular location? Do you have any plan above and beyond the creation of the illusion at that location?
Well, I was going to summon a spiritual weapon at max range to attack the shambling mount, but I guess that can wait.
Well, you can also set it on a particular trigger, like the shambling mound arises. As soon as it arises, you'll create something next to it and have it wallop it. Something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Before this, then Tristan would have cast and be concentrating on Melf's minute meteor.
Okay, so you're gonna precast that so that it's ready and waiting when the battle starts.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other buffs for the party? I mean, obviously that one's a concentration for you, but like, I don't know if the fixer has bless and he wants to cast it on folks.
No, he doesn't. And I'm just moving to here because I mean I am first in initiative, so I just kind of planned on getting to range.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna move Fargus back to here, and then I'm gonna put this Darrow right there, so
okay.
that way there'll be no question about it, and I can use Fargus
And
wherever.
yeah, I'm just prepared to do spiritual weapon at 60 feet out.
Okay, I'm gonna create one more thing because since I know you're gonna create it, I want to. Are you fucking kidding me? P Q exclamation point exclamation point. Why is there? Okay, okay. Here we go. This S stands for spiritual weapon, so you could just place that where it's going to ultimately go. Okay. So now we've got tokens for those two things. So that's the Fixer and Tristan. Melrath, Snake, and Tazarath. Do you have any particular plans?
Um, we should probably move to be closer.
Move yourself wherever you want to move.
Thereabouts.
Okay. All right. Melrath, just be aware that that particular. Wait a minute. You actually can't move there. That's too much of the wall in that particular space. Um, and I was going to say that the wall was going to inhibit some of your vision. So, yeah, there you go. All right, so that accounts for you. Is Snake doing anything in particular to prepare? Does he have a spell at the ready?
Yeah, he's going to move to here, and he has slow at the ready, but only if and when our other friend appears. So he has 2 targets.
Okay, what's the area on that spell?
The area, good question, is 40, a cube of 40, I believe. I'm double checking.
Oh, that's perfect. Like that, yeah, that's a lot of space to work with. And actually, just for the sake of denoting that, I'm going to draw
Yes,
a
40-foot
square.
cube within 120 feet range.
Wow, that is a huge space. All right, so here's a 40-foot cube, and if I center it on the shambling mound, this is how much space it can occupy. And that's just assuming that you center it on the shambling mound. I actually shouldn't have done that. Let me set it slightly off center so I can grab it when I want to.
Neat.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's going to be our denotation. And obviously, you can also move it something like this and still, you know, yada,
Mm-hmm.
yada, yada. Okay, cool. Good plan. So we have everybody's actions. Um, what we're going to do for the sake of this round, the fixer upper will only get his reaction to cast the spell when the shambling mound appears, um, because Tristan is third in initiative order, and same thing is true for Snake. Which that all that means is just that you won't be able to move,
Mm-hmm.
and that you won't be able to make any other reactions such as attacks of opportunity if something tries to go by you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the initiative order will sort of start with Tristan. So Tristan is in position. Um, you wave your hands and cast the spell. The Darrow pops into existence, and to your absolute stunning surprise, so does the Grick. It immediately lashes out and attempts to attack the illusion. The illusion has no armor class, so I'm not going to roll any dice, but I'm just going to kill that illusion. So the Grick seems somewhat confused, and then it whirls and barrels down the way, climbing up over the top of the cliff and landing right about here. At which point it's going to use its attack. And actually, I'm just going to reposition this real quick. There we go. The Grick is going to use this. No, not that one. This one. Okay. So the Grick, like I said, it lashes at it with one tentacle, trying to grab the Darrow and scoop it into its mouth. When that fails, it immediately climbs up the cliff, barrels along the top. Now, this creature has a 10-foot range. It's really quite large. And so when it uses its tail, it's able to extend that way down much further than you would have expected in order to slap at you. And so it immediately does 11 damage, and somewhat flattens Snake against the ground for a moment. So next in the initiative order, Grick's technically acted, Tristan's acted. Although Tristan, you can actually make an actual move on your turn if you want to reposition and knowing all of this.
I'm good.
Okay. Skip. Ront is up. Now, Ront, actually, you know what? He doesn't need to be there. He's going to go end up here. He's going to huck a javelin at the Grick. And like a boss, he always hits. And he lands 8 points of damage, but the creature, of course, is able to partially resist the damage, reducing it to 4. It writhes and makes a horrific little screeching noise. Oh yeah, I forgot about Bob. I'm gonna skip over him. Spiderbait. Spiderbait fires off
He
his
should
short
get some.
bow.
He should get some distance.
Who?
Spiderbait should get some distance from the Grick,
Gotcha.
lest he be gobbled.
Spiderbait is gonna move like so. He's small, so he can sort of occupy that space. And actually, I should probably reveal a little bit more of the map since that's going to be a direction that people are probably going to head. Go like that. Seems about appropriate. Bloop. So anyways, Spiderbait fires off a short bow. It misses, or rather, it impacts the creature's hide and then ricochets off in another direction, landing harmlessly amongst fungal fallen forest. And Fargus, well, he's going to try to fire off his hand crossbow from here. He misses. So once again, he fires off a coral. It impacts upon the creature's tentacle, but it doesn't sink into the rubbery skin. Sareth is going to attempt to cast Fairy Fire on the Grick, and the Grick fails, which causes it to suddenly be outlined. Now, the important thing to know about this outline is that as a result of being outlined, it can no longer use stealth or invisibility. So no matter
Nice.
where it is, you guys will be able to see it. It glows very obviously. Next up in the initiative order,
The mound.
the Shambling Mound arises, which allows the Fixer-Upper to cast Spiritual Weapon. So if you haven't ticked off the spell slot, please do so.
It's my domain, but yes.
Okay. Your domain spells still take up spells, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I thought they were extras, essentially.
They don't count against the total number of spells that you have prepared, but they still end up counting for
Okay.
spell slots.
All right.
Um,
That's annoying.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Oftentimes a lot of the stuff that's in there doesn't even appear on the cleric list normally. So like
Mhm.
if you take magic as your worshipped pantheon, you get like fireball, which clerics don't normally get. Anyways, in light of where the Grick is currently located, do you still want to cast slow?
You mean for the other character? No.
Okay. So Snake's going to lose his action. But let me get rid of this so I don't fuck it up. Remove the pointer. There we go. But Spiritual Hammer does come into existence. The Shambling Mound, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. He moves to here, which means that the Spiritual Hammer gets essentially an attack of opportunity.
Okay.
Nice.
Well done. Roll your damage. Excellent. So the force flaming longsword, as it were, lashes out and digs deep into the creature's exterior. It has no way to vocalize, however, so it just sort of silently shambles on as chunks of fungus fall off of it, um, looking for all the world like cut vegetables. Melrath. Oh wait a minute, I'm so sorry. Shambling Mound was actually supposed to attack Melrath. Let me try that. Attack 1. He misses both slam attacks. So Melrath manages to use his shield in order to deflect the massive heavy blows coming in his direction. Now Melrath can act.
Yep, I'm just going to hit him twice.
Okay.
Melrath doesn't die to salad.
Excellent, excellent. So his first hit is a success. He does basically minimal damage, but on his second hit, he hits far deeper and manages to slice up the plant as well with a radiant light. Um, and yeah, that is only a small portion of the entire mound, of course. So it looks largely unfazed by this. Tazarath, you are up.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is channeling divinity. I can do it once between every long rest as a free action, right?
What?
I was just looking.
Where
Okay.
where are you seeing this?
Clerics and paladins have channel divinity as an
Yes.
ability.
Uh-huh. I know
Okay.
that part.
And
Where the free action comes in is my confusion.
I'm trying to see if it actually counts as an action. 1 second. Channel divinity.
So Conquest?
Each channel divinity option provided by your oath explains how to use it. It gets used automatically when I do an attack roll. At least the one that I'm doing is guided strike.
When you make an attack roll, yeah, okay, so all right, that is indeed a free action.
Okay.
So put the modifier in for your roll now.
Plus 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Plus 10. I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to attack with my greatsword.
You have a problem. The Grick Alpha is 10 foot up. Your greatsword cannot reach 10 feet, it can reach 5. The Grick Alpha, however, can reach 10 at 10-foot distances.
Did you see where I moved?
Let me move the Grick Alpha real quick. See, there's this cave wall right here. He is actually up a level. Yeah, exactly.
In that case, I'm not going to use the...
Perfectly fine. By the way, I don't think you get just one channel divinity. I mean, maybe this is just the cleric user and me talking, but they usually get 2 when they first get channel divinity. And then it goes up at certain levels, but I'm going to look that up while you're trying to figure out what to do.
Well, I'm only a half caster, so it would make sense for it only to be 1 and then leveling up later, but...
Maybe,
Yeah,
but
he
I
only
want to
gets
be
one
certain.
per rest until 6th level.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
There we go.
Anywho. So that thing's not in melee range. Might make more sense for me to just hack the shambling mound to pieces right now.
Yep. You can occupy this square. It takes an extra 5 foot of movement to brush past Melrath to occupy it, but that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'll move here. I will use the Divine Strike.
Mm-hmm.
I will hit the dang thing with my greatsword.
Okay. 29. I think that hits.
Yep, pretty sure it does. And then I will use a Divine Smite on the thing, along with slashing damage.
Okay. I don't think your Divine Smite figured into that.
It did not. That's because Divine Smite is 2d8. Radiant.
Uh,
Dang it.
okay. Is there any way that I can reset, negate value, double value, have value? Okay. Okay, no problem. I will just add that in there. So 13 additional points to bring this to that value. All right. So Tazarath brushes by Melrath. He pulls out his sword and channeling his oath of conquest. He's determined to bring the plant creature low, and he channels all of the radiant energy that he can into it. Seeing Melrath's success, he brings it down upon the creature's head for a full 20 points of damage, and carves out a huge swath of fungus, which sprays into the air and sprinkles out over the lake. Um, so,
Second attack. Second attack does not hit.
no. Um,
Oh well.
yeah, the Shambling Mound uses its own body to deflect the blow. Um, and then we find ourselves back at the top of the round with the Fixer-Upper. Now, just so you're aware, because this creature has a 10-foot reach, that means if you end up moving to any non-adjacent square to it, you'll take an attack of opportunity.
All right. Well, first I'll use the bonus action to move the 5, 10, 15, 20. And then I will attack with the hammer.
Go for it.
All right. Oh, wow. That sucked. Yeah, I'm okay. So I'm aware of the attack of opportunity. But could I move to here?
Hmm.
All right.
No, I think that's too much or too much of the wall is in that space. I know that it's
Oh,
really
God,
hard
it's
to
so
tell.
annoying. It's like these stupid melee characters who aren't even as good as I am. Get in my way.
Well, I am sorry to tell you, but the battle was intended to be challenging, so.
Even when you hit, you manage to piss me off, Serlin. So does this mean that firing something at the alpha will count as disadvantage because of its stupid reach?
Actually, no, not at all.
Good.
Well, wait a minute. Would it? Let me think about that for a second. Normally, if you're in melee reach of the character, uh, actually, I think I have to go back on my original thing. I think it does count.
What a dumb concept. Oh, I can reach over walls and you're stuck there. Okay.
Well, technically, you're not. Like you can move, just it's risky. I mean,
Yeah,
you
and I
have
could move and lose concentration on my weapon,
yes,
potentially.
yes.
And I'd also be unable to melee anything. So, yeah.
True, but it also only gets one attack of opportunity a turn. So if you move now and then Snake would be free to move afterwards at no risk.
Okay. And the creature doesn't think ahead enough to target its attacks of opportunity, I would assume. So,
No, it wouldn't at all. It like I
okay.
said, it's an animal. It reacts on instinct.
Mm-hmm.
It's a panther.
All right, then can I move here?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, I have to make sure the Grick does his attack. He gets to make a tentacle attack. He hits. And 23 points of
Okay.
damage. Roll concentration. You're trying to beat, I believe, a DC 11. and you get a bonus for your Constitution.
23 damage. Jesus.
Where's concentration anyway?
You just have to roll a d20 and add your
Con
Constitution
modifier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll pre-add the modifier. Oh, that's the wrong character, but
Well, actually, I think the Fixer Upper probably has a. No, he has the same Constitution score. I'm fine counting it. It doesn't matter. 12 is more than enough to beat the
okay.
concentration check, so fucking Spiritual Hammer persists.
All right, and then I'll use my actual action to um, I guess heal the 23 versus. He'll just heal himself.
Heal yourself.
Yeah, I'm still stunned. It was that much damage. Okay. I crossed off the slot.
Okay, no problem. So the Grick has acted. Next up is Snake. Or sorry, Grick has reacted, I should say. Snake,
Yeah.
what will you do?
Not hang around here.
Yeah, get the hell out of there.
That definitely seems like a wise position to take.
Yes. He'll move back here. And then he will turn around and fire. Shambling Mound has fire resist, correct?
Correct. And cold.
And healed by lightning.
Also correct.
I will Scorching Ray the Captain cheap range extending machine thing 3 times. Yeah.
Okay, Scorching Ray 3 times. Go for it.
And if I remember correctly, it's under Fairy Fire, right?
Which means that it has advantage on it. The effect has been applied to the creature already, so it
Okay.
should automatically calculate. Okay, good. Remember to
Nice.
stop if you hit a 20, though, or a nat 20. Another hit. Excellent, excellent. All
Okay.
3 are hits.
Yay.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so slightly better than average damage. Well done. So Snake is able to easily see the Grick outlined on the cliff. Now that it has an excellent angle on it, he unleashes his scorching rays. All 3 of them streak across, and their fiery impacts are almost felt by you as they cause the creature to ripple. It takes significant damage and has heavy scorch marks all over the side of it.
Does it scream?
It does, horrifically.
Good.
It flails around a little bit like one of those wacky inflatable flailing armed tube men. Kristen is up. What animal abuse will be delivered upon it next?
How damaged does it look? Does it look a little bit bloodied or no?
No, not yet, but I will tell you if it becomes bloodied.
Cool. All right. First thing, it is I'm going to fire 2 meteors at it.
Okay. Forgive me because I'm trying to remember how the spell works. Do you actually have to cast something?
Nope. It's just as I believe, a bonus action.
Each creature within 5 feet. Okay, that doesn't matter.
When you cast a spell and as a bonus action on each of your turns thereafter,
Okay.
you can expend 1 or 2 of the meteors.
That's what I was getting hung up on. I thought you had to cast a spell in order to fire them off. But they're talking about the spell itself. Go ahead, fire them off. Okay, so it fails a dex check.
Failure.
It fails both of them. Well done. Okay. There you go. At this point, you actually successfully bloody the creature. So Tristan starts off by taking careful aim and firing off the Melf's minute meteors to follow up on the scorching ray. The two orbs streak across the battlefield, exploding on contact with the Grick, which reels from the follow-up attack, taking heavy damage. And you can see that it is oozing a a metallic black liquid from all over.
Ugh.
Presumably,
Did
it's
it scream?
blood. Yes, once again, it screams and flails.
And then, as my action, because I know that I am the teeniest and I will be eaten, I'm going to upcast Scorching Ray with a 3rd level slot. So 4 Scorching Rays coming at it.
Excellent.
Pew.
Nat 20, fire off your damage for this right away. Woof. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. So far, all 4 Scorching Rays hit, so fire off the next 3 sets of rays.
Got it.
Woof. So,
Blaster Caster says no.
having fired off his minute meteors that impact upon the creature's surface. That has caused its exposed underbelly, which is probably the most vulnerable place on it. Still not especially vulnerable, as indicated by the fact that it takes 4 full volleys of scorching rays to hit. But the last one is a critical hit, which causes the creature's innards to explode outwards. Showering down over the cliff and into the lake as its husk kind of lolls backward and then flops down heavily on the upper plateau.
And you all hear Tristan in a very strange lack of eloquence saying, "No eat kobold!"
Ront is buoyed by the success against the creature. He charges up to about here and he hucks the javelin. There we go. Unfortunately, the javelin sort of sinks into the creature without doing any obvious damage. So next up is going to be Spiderbait, who fires off the short bow. Manages to hit. And now there is a small arrow sticking out of the side of the creature. Fargus also fires off a round from his hand crossbow, but misses again uncharacteristically. Boop. Oh, Sarth connects with his short crossbow as well, or is it hand crossbow? And then, oh no! The hand crossbow that Sarith wields is poisoned, and that means that this creature is suddenly poisoned and unconscious. Let me see here. Constitution saving throw. Poisoned for 1 hour. If the saving throw fails by 5 or more, the target is also unconscious while poisoned in this way. If the target wakes up if it takes damage, or if another creature takes an action to shake it awake. That's not something you need to worry about. But that means that the creature has just lost its round to being poisoned
Clutch.
and unconscious by Sarth's well-timed attack. Now, Melrath, you have a huge advantage here on hitting this creature because you get advantage on unconscious foes.
Yeah, I'm actually going to use my action surge to attack him 3 times.
Okay. A hit. Roll the damage for that first. And then hold tight for just a second because I have to make sure of something. Okay, we're good to go. Another hit. Woof. And the last one is still amazingly enough a hit. You have a plus 10 on your attack normally? And another 11 points of damage. Jesus. So, sensing his moment has come, Melrath blazes his sword and then starts hacking into the creature, pruning away many of its limbs. It's now very bloodied, and the mound itself is looking a lot smaller than when you guys first laid into it. Tazarath, you are up.
I'm as Melrath did. Well, I can't action surge, but I will double attack.
Okay. A
Eh.
hit.
Well, let me roll my damage first.
Well, actually, you rolled your attack, but that's still fine.
I let go of it in the wrong place. Give me a.
It was all the timing.
So there's that.
Hit.
Do you mind if I use another along with that?
Use another what?
Smite.
No, I don't mind. That's within the rules.
Okay. Smite number 2 will be 2d8 radiant. This.
Okay. Let me just add those additional points. There we go. Okay. The creature does not fall. It is in bad shape, though.
Okay, second slashing attack on that.
A critical hit.
Nice.
20 points of damage. Well done. You lash into the creature. You've actually removed like one of its arms. It smells very much like a compost heap now, like really profoundly. Um, you're not sure if that means it's somehow getting healthier or what, but man, does it reek. Grass clippings and everything. So we go back to Fixer Upper for the start of the round.
He's going to pass his turn, and the snake's going to chromatic orb lightning.
Okay.
I'm
What?
kidding. I'm kidding.
I was gonna say.
It would be kind of funny, though.
Massive
Yes.
troll over there.
Snake has turned on the party and is signed up with Shambling Mound. I've seen my opportunity. Now's the time.
Yes.
He's a god.
Throwing it all away over a shambling mound. I don't know about that. So yeah, I'll attack with the hammer, I guess.
Go for it.
And miss.
Ooh.
Still can't melee it, thanks to my friends.
You can always sacred.
Yeah, I don't want to waste any spell slots on this shambling husk.
Well, you've got Sacred Flame.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh.
And he saves against it anyway.
Unfortunate.
Okay.
Snake, you're up.
He doesn't have any poison protection as shown by the poison that just happened to him, so I'll do that.
Oh, so poison spray?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to get close to it, though. Is that close enough?
Yeah, that's within 10 feet. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't know how it's magic. It bypasses everything else.
Yes, it's magic. Okay.
Oh, it's magic. You know.
Oh, okay, so he's dead.
well done. Yeah, all it takes is that last puff of poison, and the creature withers and shrivels up, and just this truly falls apart into an actual compost heap. Defeated. Uh, the party is congratulated by Lubamub. So, let me also delete that. Delete the token. Boop. Are there any
I should have hit him
others?
with lightning. I really should have.
Just to extend it a little longer, so
Yeah.
you could truly revel in your victory. So Lupamub pops out from behind a fungal stalk that was located near Fargus, and then he telepathically calls out to his brethren, "Quickly, quickly, gather up the corpse!" and Mike and it appear from all out behind a variety of different fungi, and they sort of march past you guys. They're big, they're tall, they're very lanky. Some of them just step over you, and they they end up going over. They grab the Grixis corpse, and they all kind of like hold it up over their head and start waddling off with it. And the rest of them sort of like check around the shambling mound to see if there's anything usable there, but ultimately nothing is of any particular use. So let me check something here. Is that
Mm,
is it this one? Southern Terrace. I think I want Central Basin. Oh. Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that. So, uh, they start going along the northern ridge, and you guys can sort of see it. I'll just unveil it now. There's this little land bridge that goes across between these two water sources, um, and they march over that general direction, and the party follows along, and you come to here. Beyond the mud and mushrooms that spread across the cavern, a large clear pool sits in the midst of the fungal grove. A central mound seems to be the only dry spot in sight, although a small cliff rises from the cavern floor far across the clearing. With giant mushrooms visible in the distance, bioluminescent fungi trace strange constellations along the cavern's ceilings and walls, showing the darkness of the ravine and a mist-shrouded smaller cavern up and beyond. If I'm going to reveal just a teeny bit more. Remember those cliffs we were talking about? They're like there's a smaller cavern out past these cliffs that I just sort of unveiled. Um, try this. There we go. So I'm just gonna grab Fargus. You guys come to about here, and then I'll put that in the background again. By the way, on your version of the map, in the upper right hand corner, you see an X, a question mark, and then do you see an arrow? Anyone
Where am I looking?
on the map
Mm-hmm.
in the upper right hand corner?
No.
Okay. There's an arrow for me, and when I click it, it actually sends it to the background. So like the combat tracker, the party sheet, and anything else automatically shows up over top of it. And I just thought it
Hmm.
was a nice feature given
Oh,
how
you mean in the menu bar along the top?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if that's
Yes,
convenient to
that's
you
different.
guys, you can go ahead and click that so it appears behind everything else. And if you
Neat.
click the other arrow, it'll bring it back to the foreground. So anyways, once you make it up to the central basin, um, a large creature who does not have a portrait. Oh, that's funny. Um, a much larger myconid pokes his head out. You are safe, friendly softers. You arrive at a wondrous time, for the Neverlight Grove is on the verge of something great, something marvelous. Celebrate as the day of joy is nigh. I am Sovereign Philo, he bows. And he's got an awful lot of emotion for a Myconid. Like
Hmm.
most of the other ones that you've met, Stool has an excitability about him, but even his tone is rather flat. And this one seems to have some strange warmth to his tones. Um, he I want you to know that you can stay as long as you wish and just explore and enjoy the many delights of the Neverlight Grove. There's just so much food and comfort to be had here. But there's a really good time that you came here because I have to tell you, we've been preparing a wondrous and glorious surprise in the Garden of Welcome. And it's not quite ready yet, but if you want, tomorrow we would be close enough to being ready to give you guys a peek. And we'd really love it if you could come. Now, at that point, Sovereign Basidia walks up and introduces himself. And for some reason, there's a portrait of him. So this is Sovereign Basidia.
Cool.
Sovereign Basidia um, rushes. He's sort of been in the background, and he just noticed your arrival. He's also noticed the arrival of the corpse of the Grick Alpha. Actually, I'm going to reveal just a little bit more because I want to. I think it's appropriate. Click, clicky, 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 click there, and that, some of that, and that. Yeah, I'm more comfortable with that. Okay, so anyways, Sovereign Basidia comes up, and um, you, the hunters, take the Grick and off in that direction. He points. Um, Sovereign Philo begins to protest. No, no, I have been actively pursuing this creature. We need him to become spore servants off that direction immediately. The Myconids actually look a little bit confused in the moment at the direction, and then they look at each other and decide to follow Sovereign Basidia's order. Um, uh, Stool runs up to Sovereign Basidia and bounces around, his lower shins. And Basidia and Stool have an expanding cloud of spores for a moment, and they both kind of shiver and shudder. And then Basidia says, "Oh, I see. These creatures, they're the ones who brought us this Grick. I thought that our hunters had finally felled it. Um, you know what? You should really see how a spore servant is made. Why don't you come with us and see the use that we have for the Grick Alpha you brought us?"
Okay.
Anybody protest?
No.
Okay. Um, then in that case, he
Oh, I was
immediately
muted.
sort of uses his very large, wide arms to kind of shuffle the characters along. I'm going to move Farkas again to give you a sense of like where on the map you end up going. You make it over to this much larger mushroom, and there are some tables. There are some planters which have particular fungi growing in them. And on the walk over in this direction, Basidia, one of the things that's really kind of awkward about the Mycon is like most other sentient creatures will like look you in the eye when you're talking to you, but since he doesn't have a mouth and it's all telepathy, he doesn't actually have to, and so he just kind of looks off in other directions all the time, almost giving you the impression that he's not actually paying attention to you. But regardless, um, I would warn you against staying too long in Neverlight Grove. There was another group of softers that arrived not many cycles ago, and they accepted Philo's offer to investigate the garden, and I have not seen them since, and I don't think Philo has made any further mention of them. Um, I there's something strange about him, something I don't quite know what. Now, Stool at this point chirps up and makes the party aware that generally speaking, Myconids are all about society. In game terms, they are lawful neutral creatures, um, and so their unity as a species is very important to them.
Mhm.
So the fact that one myconid does not trust another is a very abnormal circumstance. So
So I'm gonna roll insight, I suppose, on that.
go for it.
I'll do the same.
Anybody else? All right, roll you two.
Wow.
They are very alien creatures. It's a little hard to
Well,
know
I
their
get
body
2
language.
characters, so I get 2 rolls. But
Yeah, roll that 5% chance.
yeah, really.
Odds are not in your favor, my friend. So you don't quite know what to make of Sovereign
He looks
Basidius.
cool. He's distracting me with his blue.
Yeah, that indigo. It's just so
Yeah,
striking. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
Pretty colors.
at,
Well,
huh?
wasting the colors.
Right. So at this point, um, Basidia says, "Well, listen, Lubamub has told me what it is that you have done for our grove and taking on such dangerous adversaries and putting your lives on the line for us, people you have never met. I think that as a sign of friendship, it would be best to offer you a reward for the service you've done us. Recently, Philo has been having any corpses that are harvested brought to his circle of masters, and the other circles have, to an extent, gone hungry. Um, Fortunately, the death of the shambling mound will alleviate some of that issue, but um, it is important that this particular creature serves us in gathering more corpses that we can keep our population fed. Um, but I mentioned a reward, and I intend to follow up on it. He digs around and he pulls out a moldy scroll case. And there's some sort of scroll inside, and he hands it to Tazrath, as that's the person closest.
Hmm. What all is this? Let's ask Maeve to identify it.
Um, Maeve gingerly sort of opens up the moldy scroll case, and when she pulls it out, her eyes go wide. She says, "Why, this is a scroll of protection against fiends. This would, in fact, be most useful should you ever encounter any. They are dangerous creatures to begin with, and any edge you can gain upon them would definitely be to your advantage." Having
Awesome.
given you that scroll, um, the Myconid sovereign also digs up a small box that's buried underneath a mound of fungi near the base of this large mushroom. Um, and he opens it up. The box itself is fine wood inlaid with silver, probably worth 25 gold pieces. But it contains 3 amethysts, 4 small diamonds, and 1 large
Ooh.
diamond. Ah, and so pop over to the inventory screen on the party um, Kajigger. Additionally, Basidia grabs a there's some fungal gourds, I guess for lack of a better term, that have been hollowed out, and he has some sort of alchemy table set up. He hands you one of the gourd-like mushrooms and tells you that it contains a potion of greater healing. So it'll just activate like a potion of regular greater healing, except, you know, fungal themed. So who's taking all of this crap?
Um,
I've got healing out the wazoo. Somebody else should take the healing.
I think Snake needs it right now. So
I
Does anybody want to volunteer to take the rest of the treasure?
Yeah, I'll take all the junk.
Okay, Melrad.
yeah, it's all junk, right?
Melrad. Boop. Wait a minute. There we go. Well, each amethyst is worth 100 gold. Each of the 4 small diamonds are worth 100 gold. And 1 large diamond is worth 500 gold.
Nice.
So at this point, I'm checking here. You do actually get to witness the creation of the Spore Servant. The Grick is laid upon the table. Several Myconid form a circle around it, joining hands together, and and they all bow their heads and release clouds of spores. Um, and so they settle onto the creature and they suddenly begin to knit and bind the wounds that you've created on it, filling in the empty space in its chest cavity with dense fungal muscle tissue, for lack of a better term. The creature kind of like lolls up, and it's very much like a zombie. In fact, it just kind of, you know, its movements are sluggish, and it just kind of looks around. It's almost comical in a way because it's kind of like
Golgari.
what?
I'm reminded of from Magic the Gathering, the Ravnica block, the Golgari faction would create plant zombies all the time.
Yeah, actually, they were inspired by this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost comical because the creature itself was like, quick, very horrific. Its tentacles were deadly, and now it's almost like someone has it on puppet strings and is kind of moving it around slowly. Um, it's weird taxidermy in a way. The creature sort of, sluggishly moves its body off the table and starts leaving the cavern. And Visidia says, "Well, it may not look like much now, but when the time comes for it to attack prey and return it to the cavern, an ambush predator is quite a prize for us to have netted."
Mhm.
Now, while I am worried about this garden, because even I have not been allowed up in that direction. Um, the other sovereign has simply been insistent that it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. He only wants to show us when the time comes. Now, normally, Myconid will gather together in circles and they will commune with their circles, and the spores that we release result in a shared dream state. And it's how we bond as a society. Now, while everyone has their specific roles, the hunters, the builders, the sowers, they will still have members that will move from one group to another group, um, in so that none of our society is truly closed off from one another. And the circle of masters, the group that the other sovereign has united, they have not bonded with any of the other factions except very selectively, and their behavior is very strange. I'm worried about what is going on in this garden, and if I could ask yet one more favor, um, I would like if you could head up there and see exactly what is going on and report back to me, because I don't want to get any closer. I'm concerned that whatever has changed Sovereign Philo's behavior might affect me as well. And I do not think that you strange softers will be influenced as easily as I might.
Can you give specific examples of the strange behavior?
Secretiveness, belief in gender. Um,
Huh.
they they are always talking vaguely about glorious things that await, um, thinking about tomorrow. Um, yes, it's all very strange. Something is not right. I just know it.
Well, I don't know enough about your culture to say, but I'll take your word on that.
Right, but what
We've
he's
seen
waiting
quite.
for is, are you guys going to consent to um, investigating the garden on his behalf?
Can we insight again, or are we screwed?
For this particular thing, since he's made it a request of you, this is something you can insight. Who all is inciting specifically?
Me.
Okay,
Fixer Upper is inciting.
not
And
Snake.
me.
Okay, it sounds like everyone is everyone's inciting except for Snake. So roll them dice.
Yay.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so everybody does their best to try to take everything that they've learned about Myconid society, about their interactions with the creatures for as short a time as there's been. Um, you get the impression that Basidia um, Basidia is very concerned with Philo's actions. You understand that he feels reticent to ask outsiders to try to solve his problems. Um, and there's also a hint that he actually has some concern for your well-being. He wasn't, just slapping it out there on the table. He was waiting to see um, if you could be trusted, and even then, he isn't certain that he wants to risk your lives to benefit his society.
Hmm. All right. Well, Fixer Upper thinks that he's above ground on this, so well, I guess I should say underground on this. That was better, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should assent to at least look around for him.
Tazarath feels that we've run into weird demonic influences in every place we've gone, so it seems like this is kind of a pattern. And Tazarath is always up for slaying demons, if that happens.
I can't imagine why you might even think that, despite your very well organized thoughts. Very well. Um, I thank you, friends. Hold on just a second. I gotta grab a pointer. There we go. Oh, that's not the pointer I wanted. Let me grab arrow. There. That is the ramp that leads up to the Garden of Welcome, as it is so called. Um, the Myconids are getting close to their what's the word I'm looking for? Their sleep cycle, for lack of a better term. I think it's called rapport or union or something like that. It has some specific name, but it's the equivalent of their sleep cycle. So Basidia suggests that once the sleep cycle begins, that you use that opportunity to head over there and investigate.
Quick interjection. Does he have any good ideas on cover in case we are discovered as to what we should say we're doing there?
Um, hold on just one second. My mom sent me a text message. I'm telling her that I'm playing, and we'll talk to her in a minute. There. I would suggest indicating that you were lost. I don't think that it would become
Okay.
anything more serious than that. Besides, I think that if you can just get up there, see this mysterious garden they keep mentioning, once we know that it's nothing to be concerned about, then you can head back here and let me know, and I can rest easy. Um, you are welcome to interrupt my communion uh, in order to provide this news.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go kablook, like so, a little bit more like that, and like that, because you guys are gonna be going up there, so I just want to make sure. Okay. So what is your plan on the approach to the Garden of Welcome?
First thing I want to do before we do that is heal up, fix her up.
Okay.
So I've got a ton of lay on hands. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna burn most of it.
Okay. He's down 12 hit points.
He will be only down by 2, and Snake will only be down. And I will keep 5 points of lay on hands in reserve.
Chris, how many is Snake down by? You cut out.
1.
Try one more time.
1.
There we go. It's not a matter of volume, it's a matter of the cutting out. Excellent. So both of those characters have been healed up.
Do we have any? I forget. Is Tristan a natural scout? Like, what's his dex?
What's for?
Oh, okay, so that would be the best in the group.
Actually, I can tell you that at a glance. Let me check real quick.
Well, not counting Fargus, I suppose.
Fargus is an actual spy, but yes, aside from Fargus, Tristan is the best dexterity monkey in the party. He does not, however, have like proficiency in stealth or anything like that. But
Yes, but I'm a wizard. I have invisibility.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's also an option.
That helps.
So what's the plan? Is everybody going up there? Or are you just going to send Tristan?
I think what actually, I mean, we can also just ask Bat to scout.
Mm-hmm.
Also an option. So that's going to be it then.
Tazarath is a terrible scout, so yeah. I mean, that's
Okay. Then let's see. So let me check something real quick. Oh my. Sorry, I'm just trying to say stuff to, raise that tension.
Tension raised.
So Bat takes off and is, bobbing in the air wildly as it does when it flies. When it gets close, the plateau here rises higher than other terraces, and part of the reason that no one had been able to sort of get a sense of the garden beyond is that it's screened by a natural fence of soaring Zirkwood stalks. Um, now,
Hmm.
Bat has particularly good hearing, as he should, and he's able to hear some sort of muffled murmuring that is atop the plateau. Now, Bat has to keep climbing a fair bit in order to try to get around these Zirkwood stalks. However, unlike any Zirkwood you've ever seen, these particular stalks actually um, um, attack, not super efficiently, but they sort of extend out pseudopods and try to slap at Bat in the air. But Bat is small and agile, and so is able to sort of flutter around and get between and beyond them. However, they continue to sort of like wave in the hair, like strange alien hands. Um, Now, I am aware that this is written with something else in mind, so please, ignore the odd narrative. I'm just going to read it as it is. The low muttering grows louder as Bat reaches the top, turning into a symphony of moans, cries, and hisses. The only light comes from a few glowing mushrooms along the edge, but even in the gloom, you can't miss the source of the sounds. The head of creatures of a dozen humanoid races peek from the ground, mold and fungi growing around them. One voice calls out loudly in Undercommon, a female drow fighting to speak. Please, for your gods of light, kill me. She manages to stir within her living grave, raising a spider medallion half embedded in the bloated growth that was once her hand. Her face is half rotten and pustulate, a bed for the sprouting scores of tiny mushrooms. The great cedar, trap, she's here, the lady of decay, Zugdemoy! And The moans of the garden's victim suddenly take on a new tone of fear as something moves across the foul ground. A disgusting larval creature rises up before you, showing only vestigial fungal growths that hint that it might once have been a myconid. Greetings, travelers. The myconid's voice gurgles and spits. Are you spying upon the wedding rehearsals? Friends of the bride or her intended? No matter. Let the love of the great cedar embrace you as you become one with her chosen, the great body. Now, humorous as all that might be, there is an unfortunate shuddering coming from Sareth, and he doubles over in pain and grips his head. He has some orange light that's spilling out around his eyes, and suddenly this happens.
What the shit?
Sareth's eyes become blank and his body sags as the fungi continues to sprout from his ears, from underneath his scalp, um, growing
I thought we
tendrils.
solved that.
I know you did. Um, yeah. But anyways, this would lead to a battle. The battle would go on for a bit. We're technically 4 minutes over. But I thought that this would be dramatic and whatnot. And I don't know that it would really be a quick battle to resolve, so I figured we should probably leave it here and pick it up next time.
Yeah, if it's not going to be quick.
It's not. But as it currently stands, most of the creatures are up on the plateau anyways, but you just happen to have Sareth nearby, and so
And his head is orange mush.
his head is
Cool.
orange mush. It's rigid orange mush.
Delicious.
Just
Does he taste like feet?
succulent. You'll be able to find out when this is all over. It probably tastes like feet and brain matter.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a
Wonderful.
great combination, too. All right. Well,